So hello and welcome here to another tutorial where I decided to bring up the Quixel Megascans problem again, as so many of you suffered the right installation and the import from the Megascans Bridge or maybe from FAB, which is the new home of the Megascans assets. So first of all, you should keep in mind that Quixel really moved to FAB, and that the assets you have purchased or got in another way are stored still in the Quixel Bridge, which you can see here. And depending on your hard disk load and your purchases, you should see a number right here above how many assets you have inside your repository. So keep in mind that not so long ago there was a very long debate about the move from Quixel over to FAB, and some very smart people that released a script that was able to pull all the entire Quixel assets into your repository. So I don't know if it's still available. You can look in the web if this still is valid. But this could be number one where your problems emerge from, that you have to purchase now the assets from FAB, or the ones you have still in your repository on the bridge are here locally in your bridge or digitally in your home. Nevertheless, the installation of the Megascans for Houdini 20.5 and above, the releases of Houdini, still is the same procedure. So what you pretty much have to do is you go here to the Edit, Manage Plugin, and download here this Houdini little helper file. I already downloaded everything on my hard drive. And once you did that, you need to find this downloaded plugin here, which has the name MS Lifelink. So you have to locate this little library on your computer where the MS Lifelink is living. So to locate your MS Lifelink is the best way to look up where you have stored your Quixel Megascans folder. To find out this Megascans folder, you go here to Edit Settings, and you can see that you can set here this little link there, the location where the Megascans library is saved and accessed locally on this machine. So there should actually live the MS Lifelink. If you have changed the location of the Quixel home or location file from time to time, then it makes sense to download the MS Lifelink locally, maybe from Epic Games or from other locations, which should be 4.6 to work with Houdini 20.5. Once you have downloaded the MS Lifelink, make sure that you create a JSON file. So the JSON file should look like this. We have here an environment for our environment file of the Houdini environment file. The Houdini environment file can be found in your documents in the Houdini 20.5 installation. And there's a Houdini env file which stores all the Houdini environment variables that Houdini needs to locate different softwares, plugins, renderers like Redshift or whatsoever, RenderMan. And you can tell Houdini also, hey Houdini, look, here I have this MS Lifelink, and my Lifelink path is Houdini path. And in my case, it's F, Quixel support, plugins, Houdini 4.6 MS Lifelink. And in this MS Lifelink, there lives the library for the Quixel Megascans Bridge, which you then can access through Houdini. So the best would be to save this as a JSON file, which helps Houdini evaluating the path. And once you have done that, you need to use the package method. The package method means that you go right into the Houdini environment on your documents folder, and you create there a package folder which looks like this. So if this package folder here, packages, is not living inside your documents Houdini 20.5 environment, then you can create it. It will do no harm to your Houdini installation. You can then double click on the packages and hook your Megascans plugin JSON file right into the Houdini 25 packages environment. This is where Houdini reads all those external files like a library and makes it work so that it appears in the Houdini life balance, whatever you want to call it. So make sure that your Megascans plugin JSON file is the same as here in the Houdini packages. And when you have done this correct, I mean, your MS Lifelink could lay anywhere. It's depending on your machines, your production, whatever you have in your environment. But the path needs to be set to this MS Lifelink because it's an extra little Python and JSON file script that reads all the data which port has to be transported the model to, and how do the logos look for the MS Lifelink in Houdini. This all has been read from the MS Lifelink here. And when you have then done this correctly, you can then open up Houdini. And when you open up Houdini, it should be right here above in this little menu there. And you can see that this is MS Plugin 4.6, right the steps before that I mentioned in this tutorial. So you can change here the render type, you can change the material. And I just downloaded this little bucket here into the scene. And you can see it worked wonderful. We have here the asset material. We have here the asset geometry. And I also added a displacement on top of the object. And what you have to do when you use Redshift for the displacement to get the full amount of detail from the Quixel asset, you need to go to your object level here. This is the object level. And there you click right to the object parameter from the Redshift library. And here you enable tessellation and you enable displacement. So when you do this once, you get some very disgusting render artifacts, and those artifacts can be reduced by the amount of displacement on this object. So for example, when we go here right into the material, we can see here that we have here the texture for the displacement, and we have the changing parameters for the displacement. So the scale here above is normally set to 1. But what I do, I pull it down to 0.001. And when we now render everything with Redshift, you can see that we get pretty much a bucket with fairly interesting displacement effects. So you can see here that we have here more detail on top. It always depends also on your lighting, on your HDRI, whatever you use, but the displacement can help bring the detail back to your Quixel asset, and this is what makes the Lifelink and the Quixel Bridge still so wonderful. You can use FAB, but FAB I guess would charge you some money for downloading the assets from FAB, and I think the integration on FAB is not as good as on the Quixel Bridge, because in the Quixel Bridge everything is together, everything is related to Quixel, everything has its place, its textures, its file formats, and in my opinion the FAB solution is very messy what's depending on the Quixel assets, because everything comes as a single file. You have to extract all the textures down. You have to create the sub menus and the sub layers here for your textures by hand. And this can take fairly a lot of time. And when you are used to the Quixel Bridge environment, then I think FAB is, in my opinion, a step backwards, because everything was so well in place and everything was organized and stuff like that. Yeah, but this is always a developer question, and shouldn't be answered by the artist. I mentioned the light situation here, and I have an HDRI inside that has a very green tint. So let's take here something that is maybe a bit more real life sky. And you can see how this light is changing our light situation here. And you also noticed that I pulled back the background and made the background a bit more black so that we get a clean alpha. So this is what you can do with the distribution of the light in the redshift settings with the camera. So in your light distribution you can set how the light is distributed to the camera, which means that the edge of your eye gets black when you zero this out. This is something looking like this. So we click here the APR button in Redshift, and you can see how the distribution of the light to the camera is changing our background. So you can then fairly enter your own background or your own environment. So I hope this makes something clear about the Quixel Megascans problem. It's not that self-explaining, I must admit, but with a bit of logic and thinking around the corner, and and mainly following different tutorials on the internet, it's possible, and it's such a great addition to your daily work with all the available assets in wonderful quality and in the scanned availability. So don't get lost, and don't be too frustrated about the processes. Mostly there's always a solution on the horizon, and the best way is to communicate what's going wrong and where the problem is, and so I hope this helped you somehow in this little problem world of Quixel Megascans. And if you still run into an issue, just write in the comments. I check it from day to day. And I hope you learned something, and I hope it helps you with this blocking feature of Quixel Megascans in contrast to the FAB world. I mean, Fab is very good for Unreal Engine and also for Houdini scene files, but for all those tiny bits you get in Quixel, I think it's a bit exaggerated to say you have to pay for every little asset package that was once available on the Quixel Bridge. What would make sense would be maybe a big package asset pack where maybe 1,000 or 5,000 assets are involved, and then you pay your money and then you have everything in place. But yeah, like I said, this is something an artist should not answer. So, see you soon and stay tuned.